And when I went to Washington State, that's what they were doing with me. Also, another thing that could be factoring into that is that when I was still in Portland, Oregon, in approximately 2003, I had made a report, before I ever decided to talk about rape, I had made a report to the Portland PD about Robin Bechtold trying to buy prescription painkillers from me.
Lynn Harrell was the cellist. Joined by the English Chamber Orchestra, the conductor was Pinchas Zukerman, and the composer was Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. One of his cello concertos, that particular one in the key of A major. The next piece takes us to 1536 Italy, and it's a pavane, a slow, stately.
Okay, well, I found out what that was. I only liked that one part. I didn't really like the rest of it. But the English orchestra, whoever was doing that violin part on that, was doing a good job, I think. Okay, so So as I was saying, I had made a report about, I don't know if this thing is, I made a report about Robin Bechtold, and I am sure that it got back to him and got to other people in the Portland PD, or, you know, his brother, people who knew him, because his brother was a cop. He worked as a guard in prisons and jails, but he was also connected to the Portland PD and that kind of thing. So it's a little strange that, you know, here's, I don't know. I believe that they're all connected in some way. So then I, you know, was trying to move to Washington State. And I'm stalling a little bit and everything because I'm really being, I am being tortured now in my ear, on my left ear. And it's been basically since I got a cup of coffee and then sat back down. And since I turned on the radio. So they were torturing me to my left ear and also to my teeth, and they've been doing this to my teeth for a while. They're so when I'm stalling and I'm not as fluid as before, that's why. I think that the reason they're doing this is because I brought up the SSAs. The last thing that I was talking about was the SSA from Washington, D.C. and his military connections, and I was talking about the SSA from California and his connections to Ansgar Santagrossi, which is an Italian connection. Ansgar Santagrossi's father was a chemist. Most chemists are either employed by the Department of Defense in some way or by pharmaceuticals. I guess I also talked about a few other important individuals, like presidential hopefuls and everything, but I think it has more to do with the military and the FBI actually at this point. So, I mean, as you can see, it's not like nobody's interested in me at all, because this blurriness to the camera has nothing to do with my camera. So while someone is torturing me to my ear, they are doing weird things to my webcam that have nothing to do with my webcam. I mean, like how it normally works. I was driving, you know, getting pulled over by police and noticing police everywhere all of a sudden. It was like Julia Thornton had her, you know, evil flying monkeys all over the place. Once I was relocated, I mean, had most of my stuff over there, all of a sudden I was, I had already filed my petition for I had filed a lawsuit for anti-competition and monopoly. And I think that probably really shocked some of the federal people, because I think that they did not necessarily completely know where I was going to go with that, and maybe it scared them. Because at that time, I didn't know that I'd been implanted with microchips, and that I'd been an MK Ultra kid, and all these employees knew this. So I didn't realize that they, in every sense of the word, were committing crimes of, anti-competition monopoly against me. And they were using the government to help them, and torturing me actively at that time. So I had no idea how right on that lawsuit was. And I was filing it for one thing, noticing a pattern of behavior with, or pattern of conduct. I hate that word, behavior. I noticed a pattern of conduct with the federal judges and some of the other judges and individuals, which indicated it was that's what they were up to. And when I was then, the other thing that was very important that I was trying to do is get this information about the corporate governance of Mount Angel Abbey and the Archdiocese. I was trying to get that into the public record, because that was very helpful to everyone. That was helpful to a lot of people, clergy abuse victims, and it was the truth. I'd already done all the research on it, and everybody was covering up what the actual truth was on that. I think that it's interesting that the FBI helped them on that. They wanted to help conceal what the truth was. So I was being forced to go to this courthouse in Marion County and pick up my records to have them entered, because they weren't doing it and they were lying about things. And on the way over, they knew that I was going to go that direction. And I left a little bit later in the day, because I was planning to go over to my parents, and then on the way back, pick up my records. Like stay there for the weekend or whatever, stay overnight, and then on the way back, on the return, pick up my records. So I was driving that direction, and all of a sudden, I had just passed Marion County, so I was past that point, but it was already nighttime. It wasn't like I was going to pick up records then. And I was sitting, I had gone into a gas station. I needed to get gas. So I pulled into a gas station. I was already filling up with gas. My car was already connected to the gas pump, and this officer drives up, and it was a Coburg police officer, and he told me, he approached me, and I didn't suspect anything, and I just thought he was an officer getting gas too or something. And then he told me he said, "Ms. Garrett, your license has been I need to see your registration and whatever, and your insurance." And he said, "There is and I said, "Well, what is this over?" And he said, "I got an alert that your license is suspended." And he told me that he got an alert that my license was suspended. He also tried to tell me that I was speeding, but I wasn't, and that's not why he pulled me over. He pulled me over. I mean, he didn't even pull me over. He approached me and basically told me that they were going to tow my car away because he had received an alert, quote unquote, that my license was suspended. And I actually need to stop right here because I'm thinking about something that happened with my mother before then, and you know, some of the trauma I guess she's been through with police, because most people don't break down the way that they do, the way that I saw my mother break down when she was worried police were going to come by. And now that I know that she has been forced to work for MK Ultra and some of these officers have also assaulted and tortured her and my dad, now it really makes a lot more sense as to why my mother would be so distressed, and really back then I had no idea.